Good afternoon. This is Revkin with Right to Nonviolence. I'm here with Zahra Langhi, a very prominent activist and civil society figure in Libya. She's going to talk to us a little bit about Libya's constitutional process, where the process stands, and what are the prospects moving forward. So, Zahra, I understand that under the Libyan constitutional process there will be a 60-person constituent assembly representing each of the three regions. Can you tell me, are there any other specific requirements for membership in the assembly, and as far as women and other ethnic minorities represented? And do you think the process for forming this assembly is clear and moving forward?
Actually, we had several amendments in the Article 30, which deals with the Constitutional Assembly. And due to the several amendments regarding that article, it's still vague and it is mostly controversial. The first amendment was in March, and it was introduced by the National NDC, and that was that the Constitutional Assembly will be chosen from outside the GNC, the National Congress, and it wasn't clear whether it would be a technical drafting committee or that it would be a constitution. It would be a constitutional assembly that will deal with the whole process of constitutional building. So, and it was not clear until this moment how the relationship between the GNC, the National Congress, and the Constitutional Declaration. Up to this moment, it is not clear in terms of its independence from the GNC, because we've seen what happened in Egypt and how the president managed to manipulate the process by issuing the controversial constitutional declaration while the Constitutional Committee was in progress. And so we need to make sure and guarantee its independence and its transparency, and its in terms of how it will deal with the public, with the people. How are we going to conduct national dialogues on which we will build the principles for the Constitution? That is not clear, whether it's the authorities that delegated to the National Congress or to the National Assembly. And the latest and the most controversial amendment was on the eve of the elections. The NTC chose to amend that article, and the Constitutional Assembly will be elected directly from people and not as it was before, appointed by the National Congress, who were basically elected as a legislative body.
Right.
So there's this confusion with the executive and the legislative bodies in Libya. This confusion still is there.
Right.
And it was actually a political movement, maneuvering it was thought to appease the Federalists.
And I believe under the Constitutional Declaration, if I'm correct, it's stipulated a period of 60 days for drafting the Constitution after.
Now it has been
extended.
It has been redrafted, and it's 120 days.
Sure.
But back to the question whether it will ensure gender or ethnic ethnic minorities or representation, there is no mention at all in the latest or any of the amendments that it will ensure gender representation. There is only a mention that it should make sure to ensure, without stipulating any kind of mechanism to even ensure the ethnic representation.
And do you think that the lack of a quota for women is a problem? Because I know you've taken a position against quotas for women in Parliament for reasons of it ends up being counterproductive. And do you feel the same way about the Constituent Assembly?
Actually, I did not take a position against the quota. We were for the quota.
Right.
When the quota was eliminated by the NTC, and that was after the NTC sensed that there is a public resentment for the quota, when it was eliminated, we introduced another kind, it could be seen as another kind of quota or positive discrimination tool, which is the zipper list in the political list.
Right. Sure. And as far as the representation of the different three provinces and their interests in the new constitution, I know that some groups have recommended that people have different opinions on the extent to which the 1951 constitution should be taken into consideration and used as a basis. And one idea was that constitution provided a strong framework for federalism, and that might be an element that the new constitution would want to incorporate.
No, but the Constitution 1951 was
amended later to eliminate.
In 1963, and that part that deals with federalism, it was taken away. So that when we say we want to go back to the Constitution of 51, we don't mean necessarily the federal system, but some are proposing that, and I think I would agree with that we could take it as a temporary constitution, and we need to build consensus on the constitution later on. And so, because we're not ready. Up to this moment, we'll have to now draft another electoral law for the elections of if we don't amend it.
Right.
And so it's a kind of a very difficult situation we are at.
And you mentioned that the militias have not been fully demobilized yet, so that seems to also be an obstacle.
Exactly. There are security challenges, national reconciliation challenges. There are a lot of challenges, which makes us, though we as the Libyan Women's Platform for Peace, we called for a proposal for calling for the independence and the transparency and the full representation, the multi-layered representation of the constitutional assembly in terms of gender, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of age, in terms of profession, but it is not. I personally feel that Libya is not at the moment ready to start the process of drafting the constitution amid these challenges, security challenges.
And as someone working really closely on strengthening civil society, are you optimistic over the long run that civil society is gaining strength? There was a lot of concern about having to sort of build civil society institutions from scratch because they had been hollowed out by Gaddafi's regime. Are you optimistic about the future?
Actually, civil society has proven to have played a viable role so far in the election process, in civic engagement and in civic awareness in general. Yet there is still a lot need to be done and introduced, specifically in coalition building, in networking, in not repeating the same activities and initiatives, and we need to go more to suburbs and to areas in the south and So there's a lot for civil society that can introduce and play a role in that particular areas.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Zahra, for those insights. It's a pleasure to have you with us here in Tunis. Thanks so much for your participation. Thank you.